So today we finally have part 2 of the best legendary weapons you can find in Borderlands 3. If you missed it, we did part 1 to this around 2.5 weeks ago, and that will be linked in the description below. And if you don't see a weapon that you feel should be on this list, it will most likely have been covered in part 1. Other than that, let's jump straight into this. So for the first weapon of the video, we have the beloved laser SPLODER. Now if you don't know about this weapon, then what have you been doing? Because this thing is beautiful. I have so much fun using this, and it essentially simultaneously fires a laser beam and rockets at the same time. Because of this and its high base damage, it makes it one of the best assault rifles in the game that you can obtain. Now the laser SPLODER can come in multiple different variants and elements, and one of the prefixes you want to look out for is the double penetrating version, as this will double the amount of damage the weapon puts out and calculates that into its damage over time effect. And in terms of the element, I would say the most sought after would either be radiation, cryo, or fire. In addition to this, it also has the red flavor text, lasers not equal to explosions, which is a reference to Mr. Torgue's hatred of lasers. Overall, it's an amazing weapon to look out for, and is definitely something I would recommend you farm for the best anointed variants possible. It's also a world drop weapon, so if you're lucky enough, you can get this from pretty much any suitable loot source in the game. Coming up next, and a weapon I feel is super underappreciated, is known as the Star HELIX. The Star HELIX is manufactured by DAL, and its unique ability is that it fires 2 additional projectiles that oscillate on a horizontal line, then meet back up in the middle, essentially meaning that it shoots 3 bullets per shot. The weapon also has a great base damage, a fast fire rate, and a half decent magazine size, and my preferred elements and firing modes for this would be a shock or cryo element, and a 4-shot and full auto firing mode. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to obtain the 4-shot burst variant, but I still got a damn good version of this that hits pretty damn hard. As for the red flavor text for this, it states, "The stars are better off without us," which is a reference to the popular TV series known as The Expanse.
Stars are better off without us.
Again, I don't see many people talking about this weapon, and I feel it's slightly underrated as it's an exceptional weapon for general mobbing, especially if you can get the shock or cryo elements. Of course, a lot of the enemies in the game do have shields, and this thing will disintegrate those shields very, very quickly. Again, this is another world drop weapon. Like the majority of the weapons on this list, I think there's one that isn't a world drop, so I'll mention that later on in the video, but it's obtainable from any suitable loot source, so farming things like, the Slaughter Shaft, Grave Ward, Captain Traunt are all good locations where you can possibly pick this up. Coming up next, we have the legendary assault rifle known as the Dictator. The Dictator is manufactured by Vladov and fires 3 bullets in a horizontal line, but the unique aspect of this weapon is that it comes with a fixed bipod attachment that allows the gun to shoot 7 bullets in a horizontal line. Now because of the way this shoots, it's best utilized at super close ranges, and let me tell you, this thing shreds up close. Because of its fast fire rate, great magazine size, and ability to shoot 7 rounds per shot, it's perfect for taking out certain boss fights very, very quickly. And if you're running a flak crit build with this, you'll find yourself destroying with this weapon. Now the gun itself can come in multiple elements, and the preferred element for this would be radiation or incendiary. The weapon also has the red flavor text, "Let them hate me so that they will but fear me," which is a reference to a quote by Roman Emperor Caligula. Overall, it's another weapon I don't see many people talking about, and it's very, very powerful, so if you don't have it yet, definitely keep an eye out for this weapon. Coming up next, we have the long musket, which is often referred to as Elon Musk's flamethrower. Now the long musket is actually a reference to Elon Musk's Not a Flamethrower product. It also has the red text, "Say cryptocurrency," which is also a direct reference to a Twitter exchange between Elon Musk and Randy Pitchford. Now the weapon is manufactured by TDR, and as you would expect, it acts exactly like a flamethrower and continuously shoots out fire. Now because of this, it's best used in close quarters combat, as the range of this gun isn't very good. But that aside, because it continuously puts out fire damage, it absolutely destroys the health of enemies, like seriously fast. Now I know a lot of the enemies in the game do have shields, but even with those shields, it does a decent amount of damage, and if you're running like a Stormfront shock grenade with this, you can quickly reduce their shields and run around with this thing destroying the enemy's health. In addition to this, upon reloading and discarding the weapon, it will then stick to whatever you threw it at and will then act as a flamethrower turret, which is another great addition to this weapon because of course when you're in that close range combat, simply reload your gun, throw it at the ground, and then you have 2 flamethrowers now disintegrating the enemy. Overall, it's a fun and great weapon to use, and I love the fact that it was actually an Easter egg to Elon Musk's flamethrower, so it's definitely one to look out for if you don't have it, and yet again, it's another world drop weapon. Another awesome legendary weapon you can obtain is known as the SHREDIFIER. Now this is a returning weapon from Borderlands 2, and boy does this thing shred. The weapon itself is manufactured by Vladov and has the red flavor text "Speed Kills," which also comes with a very high magazine size, an extremely high rate of fire, and greatly decreased spool time. Now what's interesting about this weapon is there's 2 main versions of this. We have the normal SHREDIFIER and the Super SHREDIFIER. Both of these can come in multiple prefixes, and the Super SHREDIFIER is literally, as the title suggests, a super version that comes with 2 chain gun barrels instead of 1, making this even crazier than what it already is. And if you're running a MOAR ammo regen build with this, then you literally have a goddamn bullet hose in your hands. Like seriously, this thing hits hard and hits fast and will be perfect for mobbing. It completely shreds mobs in the game. It's pretty damn good at taking out bosses as well, and is definitely a weapon you are going to want to get your hands on. Now if I had a preferred element of this, again it would be cryo, shock, or fire. The one that I had was corrosive and it was still extremely good, but I do prefer those elements on weapons generally. Now it is another world drop weapon. I know I keep saying that a lot in the video, but I do want to mention that because there is a few weapons in this video that won't be world drops, so obtaining this from any suitable loot source is your best bet. So again, things like the Slaughter Shaft, Grave Ward, and any other bosses that you deem to be good looting spots. The AAA is a legendary pistol that is manufactured by Dahl, and in my opinion this is another weapon that doesn't get the attention it deserves. The weapon itself will always come with the shock element, has increased elemental chance and elemental damage, and fires 6 projectiles per shot in the shape of an A, making this an extremely good weapon to use, especially for mobbing, and is generally speaking one of the best shock pistols in the game. Because it has a high rate of fire, great accuracy, and high damage, it can also make quick work of enemies' health as well, especially if you're landing those critical hits. In addition to this, it also has the red text, "Hold on, they're lithium," which combined with the weapon's name being AAA refers to your everyday normal battery, but is also a reference to the Scott's Tots episode from the popular TV series known as The Office. The level 50 stats for this weapon will be shown on screen, and like a lot of the weapons on this list, it is also a world drop. Coming up next, we have Ruby's Wrath. Now, Ruby's Wrath is a legendary rocket launcher that is manufactured by Atlas, and this is definitely up there in the top 3 rocket launchers in the game. The red flavor text for this is "No one can escape," which comes with the unique ability that launches 7 missiles per round and also has an alternative firing mode that fires a vortex grenade that sucks in and tags enemies. And of course, those tagged enemies will allow those rockets to home in on the target and cause nothing but destruction. Now, without the vortex grenade, the flight path of these rockets are kind of crazy. They fly in very weird patterns and will quickly gravitate towards the ground, which is why the main strengths of this lie within the vortex grenade being utilized correctly. Now again, because it shoots 7 rockets per round, it ends up being one of the most powerful rocket launchers you can get your hands on. I don't really feature rocket launchers too much, and there's definitely a few in the game that are extremely good, and this is one of them. And again, it is another world drop weapon that you can get your hands on. The MOAR LINOGE is a legendary pistol manufactured by Children of the Vault that fires 3 bullets per shot. However, because the weapon is full auto and has an extremely good fire rate, you end up shooting a serious barrage of bullets that mount most enemies in the game with ease. Now these projectiles are slow moving, but because of the sheer amount it puts out, as long as the enemies aren't running around all over the place, you can do a serious amount of damage with this. In addition to this, these bullets also ricochet, meaning that even if you miss some of the shots, there's still a chance the bullets will hit an enemy, especially if you're in buildings or more enclosed areas. Now the level 50 stats for this weapon will be shown on screen, and the version I ended up getting came with the incendiary element, but of course this can come in other variants too. The red flavor text for this is "My name is Legion, for we are many," which is actually a quote from the Bible, and the name of the weapon itself is actually a reference to Andrew LINOGE, who is a character from Stephen King's television series Storm of the Century. Another great legendary for you to obtain is the SKEKSIL. Now, the SKEKSIL is a legendary pistol that is yet again manufactured by COV. Now, the beauty of this weapon is it's very powerful and can be obtained very early on in the game. It can be obtained as a random wall drop, but also has a highly increased chance to drop from an enemy known as Skrak, who is located in the Ascension Bluff region of Pandora. He will be right here on the map, listed as one of Sir Hammerlock's legendary hunt crew challenges. The weapon itself fires normal bullets in rapid bursts, but also fires off 1 to 3 elemental explosive projectiles, and this, combined with its fast fire rate, make for a very good weapon for general mobbing. The level 50 stats for this will also be shown on screen, and it has the red flavor text, "Get back, Spithead," which is a reference to the movie known as Dark Crystal. Now this weapon will forever hold a heavy place in my heart, as I had a blast when using this in my first run of the game, and still have fun using it to this day. And for the final weapon of the video, we have the FACEPUNCHER. Now the FACEPUNCHER is a legendary shotgun that is manufactured by Hyperion and has the red flavor text, "Man Your Own Jackhammer," which is a reference to the studio album In Keeping Secrets of Silent Earth 3 by Coheed and Cambria. Now the unique aspect of this weapon is that it actually shoots out your melee damage. So the more melee damage your character has, the more damage this weapon is going to do. And if you have the right setup, this thing can do an extraordinary amount of damage, oftentimes being able to almost one-shot most enemies and take out bosses in less than 1 clip of the weapon. That's how crazy this weapon can actually be. Now again, outside of Amara, the weapon isn't that good, but when paired up with an Amara melee build, which will be shown on screen, the Brawler Ward shield, which you can get from Grave Ward, in which the variant I have is actually extremely rare and was dropped by a friend of mine, and has a plus 300% melee damage when shields are depleted. And also pair that with certain artifacts such as the White Elephant, which can cause your melee damage to apply sticky grenades, the Unleash the Dragon artifact, which will cause your FACEPUNCHER to always ignite enemies, or pretty much any artifact that will imbue your melee with an element will cause your FACEPUNCHER to be an absolute killing machine. I mean, you guys can see just from the gameplay in the background how much damage this thing is doing, and it's honestly one of the craziest weapons in the game for Amara. And that's pretty much it for the video. I wanted to try and keep this as quick paced as possible while covering all the important parts of the information for each weapon, just so the video isn't crazy long and stuff like that. So if you enjoyed the video today, be sure to leave a like down below. It's always greatly appreciated on the channel. And if you want to check out part 1 to this video, it will be linked on screen now. Peace.